Hello and welcome to my very first ASMR audio commentary. Call me Simon, and today we are going to watch a movie that is very near and dear to many people's hearts. It is a Christmas movie after all. Yes, it is Die Hard from 1988, starring Bruce Willis. In order to sync up your copy of the film with this commentary, stop it at exactly the point when the Fox logo goes to black, which in my copy is at about 21 seconds. Press play again once you hear a snap from me. So, are you ready? 3, 2, 1. And there we go. What I really like about this opening scene is how much is already established just through those tiny gestures, like his fear of flying, which really serves as a first act of humanization for the character. And not only that, but also, of course, the suggestion by his fellow passenger that he takes his shoes off once he gets to his place. I mean, this is the first scene of the movie, and there's already so much happening. And it's also kind of funny, and his reactions are so human. It is nice. Of course, establishing too that he is a policeman. Like there's setup, there's character development. It's a short scene, it's concise. It is really something beautiful, and I can only imagine how the people of 1988 must have reacted to it when they saw this movie for the first time. I mean, being so used to like Rambo and the Schwarzenegger movies, like have their action heroes be the Superman, like you could rest assured no Schwarzenegger hero would be afraid of flying. Not like Rambo, I think he later killed a lot of Afghanis with a helicopter. Like, none of them would feature such a human element of vulnerability, which in John McClane's case, though, really serves to make us sympathize with him. And here, of course, we have the establishment of Nakatomi Corporation, the introduction of Holly's character. And of course, there's also Alice, a figure which I will speak of later, once he has his great scene, so to speak. Yeah, once again, you really get a feeling that these are like actual characters, not just stand-ins. There are relations between them, they have a rapport. Like it's just small stuff, but it really does make a difference. again the pictures, they come and play later, and just visual storytelling. It's so masterfully done, like, you really can't ask for more. Now, I'm not saying that we are having a perfect movie here, if there even is such a thing, which I doubt. But right now, it is all, it just puts you on the right track. I don't know how else to put it. California. Yeah, I think it does also add that, not just in addition to like being in this skyscraper, you get the feeling that he's just a guy who is out of his element. It is not his city, it is not his people, and even though that doesn't play so much of a role later when he is trapped in the building, it does. That's another aspect of sympathizing, this fish out of water quality that John McClane represents in this movie, and does pretty much in the second movie as well. It is only really in the third movie where John, even though he is hungover and everything, it's his city, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully making a Die Hard with a Vengeance commentary one day, because I will state up front, I do like it more than the first one. It is my favorite Die Hard movie. Now, as to the hows and whys of it, we will get to once we get to that movie. Yeah, Argyle, of course, has a special function here as well, helping to establish his character without it seeming forced or anything. And because, of course, there would be somebody who brings John from the airport to the plaza. And of course, he also has his role later on, which we will get to. It's just so perfectly constructed. Those parts, at least. I'm watching the movie with subtitles right now, and I really appreciated that they added the lyrics of Christmas in Hollis. I'm not really sure, like, I know Christmas rap is a subgenre that is quite abysmal for the most part, but at least, you know, Christmas in Hollis, thanks to this movie, will always stand as a positive example of combining hip-hop and Christmas. Damn, this also looks so beautiful, like the sun down, the light shining in through all these windows. just masterful. Yeah, the aspect of technology as well, which I guess is more emphasized in the second movie than this one. But yeah, again, it serves a purpose, and something gets established that gets brought up later on, and we as an audience, we are always on track. Like, we always understand what's going on, why these characters are feeling that way. Like, they have motivations and motives for the things they do and how they interact with each other. And this is an action movie. Like, these are usually things that are really not given much thought. Like, I think I would go so far as to categorize Die Hard as a thriller. Seeing how it surpasses, like, it doesn't just offer action, it offers human drama, and I think that is what gives the thriller an edge over an action movie. It's what elevates it, so to speak. California strikes again. There we have Mr. Takagi. Like, I think it's a nice version of, like, the asshole boss character, because Mr. Takagi, he's also sympathetic. I think, like, the movie, at least in this workspace aspect, does a good job of not just making everybody an asshole, have that be everybody's character. Even Alice, who we're meeting again here, like, we've just missed some. We've just established that he's also a cokehead and stuff, but he's more of just a jerk. There's not a lot malicious about him. That fucking laugh. Excuse me if I'm swearing, by the way, but since this is a movie that features swearing, I consider it acceptable that I swear as well. I'm not really sure actually how old I was when I saw Die Hard for the first time. I might have been 8 or 9 years old, maybe 10. Like, in my household, we really did not have that tight of a leash on movies with a lot of violence in them. Like, one of the reasons that I I've grown so attached to Die Hard with a Vengeance because we had it on VHS, so it's also the one I watched the most. But Die Hard, the first one, showed up on TV on a regular basis in the household that I lived in, so there would always be an opportunity to see it, especially on Christmas. Like in German television, you can rest assured, or at least pay TV, you can rest assured that Die Hard will show up, that they do like a Die Hard day, or that they will just show like Die Hard 1 and 2, because those are the ones that are set around Christmas. And a little beat there of the people coming in, but there's chemistry. Like it's so well done. And yeah, John with his little move there, leaning against the door frame. Just this little high, like it's all in these nuances. Still tension left, and then immediately afterwards the regret. Evian product placement, I didn't notice that before. And this is where the bad guys come in. There we get our first impression. Like, I think another great quality that Die Hard possesses that separates it from other movies of that time is that it's not a faceless army of moves or anything that the hero is fighting against. It is like 12 guys or something, and most of them are recognizable enough that you remember them. And of course, there is the big one, Hans Gruber. One thing I have to tell you, if you are not a German-speaking person, this movie does become unintentionally hilarious at points. thanks to the German that is spoken in this original dub. Like, sad thing about the German dub is that they switched, in synchronization, they just changed the nationalities of most of the villains. Like, there was no German villain. They changed Hans Gruber's name into Jack Gruber and made him like an IRA or an ex-IRA terrorist or something, which is kind of funny when it comes back around to Die Hard with a Vengeance, where the villains are obviously like ex-Stasi guys, so they had to make him Hans Gruber again in the German dub. Yeah, it's something I didn't really notice much as a kid again, because, like, to me he was Hans Gruber because I saw the third Die Hard more often. Links, rechts, that is a little accurate. Like, it doesn't sound too phony. It gets much worse later. Yeah, cutting of the phone lines. Fists with his toes he's making. Oh, now that I think about it, I'm not sure if John McClane has got that tattoo, which we just got a glimpse of. He has it in the other movies. Like, I know he's running around with a sleeveless shirt in Die Hard 3 a lot, but I don't remember. Now you could get the brother from that, but you honestly don't understand what Karl's brother is saying there in German. Maybe that is better. I also never really understood where the tension in that scene was. Like, I guess that makes it a little dated, but it still kind of works because it helps to establish that dynamic of, them being brothers. Here, villains make their real entrance. And Rickman, like, he just owns that role so much. Again, it's like, even like, scene just seemed like, throwing breath into the movie, but it had a purpose, like distracting the band terrorists so that John could escape upwards. Yeah, Gruber makes his first impression. Like, his German accent is alright, I would say. Like, I must admit at this point that the accent I'm putting on here is also a little phony. Like, I am actually German, but I'm just heavily emphasizing the accent for your listening experience. Yeah, he's just exudes a kind of cultivated creepiness as he just stalks past all these people. Forced relaxation, and then guess in that sense of being a highly educated person, cultivated and all, it helps to create a contrast with our hero, who's this more down to earth, gritty guy. Oh, the subtitle just told me that one guy speaks Italian there. I never noticed that. I always thought he was like Spanish or Hispanic somehow. Huh. And again, where before he was like this menacing, creepy figure, Gruber, here he's much more relaxed and almost like he really has the excitement of a little kid, like to be in this situation and like to go through with his plan. Yeah, now he's getting pissed. His true plan is revealed to us. I like that they really don't wait too long with exposing the villain's true plan, that this is really just a big heist. This whole terrorist thing is just a front. Or just a little interplay between the villains too, like yeah, and Gruber's favorite trick, counting to 3. It's something else that I noticed as a kid, like the exchange of money between the two. It's so amazing how many little things there are. Heinrich. Here's the thing. You almost want to root for the villains, to be honest. Like, generally, I always find myself rooting for the villains in movies because they're always like they are the ones who are destined to lose. Like, no matter how close they get to accomplishing their goal, in the end they have to fail. They are doomed from the start. So in most cases I root for the villain to win, especially when like the hero is just a cardboard cutout or something. Like in this case here, of course, I do not want John McClane to die, or his wife Holly. But at the same time, I almost want Gruber to get away with this. And it also maybe makes it a little sad for when when some of the villains get killed. There's excitement from McLean here. I'm not really sure they could have made this guy look any more German, like with the haircut, and of course he has to be blonde and everything. I'm pretty sure he is not actually German. I know from the actor who played Karl that he was like a Russian ballet dancer or something who went to the West. Yeah, it wasn't a smart move from McLean, like trying to get him like that, but it's kind of understandable in the situation. Like, he is a policeman, but he is still very much out of his element. Yeah, convenient neck snap. McLean does not seem particularly remorseful. Yeah, you're not sure, like, it might make you wonder, has he ever killed someone before in the line of duty? I think so. I think it almost seems like it, that this is not the first person he's ever had to kill. Shoes part, of course. That grin from McLean too, like, you have to admit, this is kind of fucked up, what he's doing, like, setting the dead German guy up like this with the ho ho ho. Like, it surely is hilarious and awesome and memorable, but I think this was more inspired by the idea of a scene itself, instead of it, like, being in McLean's character. And of course, the nice juxtaposition of Gruber giving his scene, eating something, like establishing control over all his hostages. And there he comes. Yeah, first bits of gratuitous German. Ho, ho, ho. Hans Gruber's hot like you could not fool any German with that. Like, even I don't have the perspective, of course, but even as someone who has no knowledge of the German language, I think you would have to know that it sounds kind of phony, that it does not sound the way people say those words. Yeah, this whole climbing element of McLean, like navigating through the elevator shafts and everything. It adds to the feeling of adventure, I'd almost say. Like, he has to crawl through these spaces. Yeah, Carl is pissed. Just that facial acting from Rigman, like his eyebrow raising when he talks to Carl. It's a little hilarious, I would say, but it certainly doesn't seem out of character too much. Yeah, of course, Alice has got to be the one the wrong here. It's kind of cute that he had to think about, like, where somebody would transmit from, as if that wouldn't be fucking obvious. Oh well. I guess that is also something so, how do you say it? I guess typical like the bureaucracy working against the hero. But I guess it does make sense, and of course it allows for the character of L to show up in this movie the way he does. And I guess Paul does kind of seem like a stereotypical cop, like in the beginning, and only later we find out what he is really about, which I guess makes it a nicer version. This is a nice shot, the one where Carl is like sneaking up to him. Literally feel that McClane is cornered, and like he should have probably died there when Carl shot at him, but this is a movie, so that doesn't happen. But it doesn't change the fact that the way it's all shot, you still feel the concern for the character. You share some of the anxiety without directly being in the danger yourself. And I suppose that is what makes a movie like this so cathartic, especially once McClane begins to really turn the tables on them and take them out. Another very neat callback with the calendar, also helping us to giving us a visual sense of the labyrinthine structure of the building. Oh, and now for one of the most improbable jumps you're most likely to see in a movie that tries to be realistic. Maybe it's just my personal impression, but I am fully ready to call a bullshit on in doing this jump that you are about to see, surviving that. Still he is. He's already got a little blood on his shirt, he's already a little bruised up, he's sweaty, dirty. Of course, this only further and further escalates with all the shit that he has to go through. I think John McClane really is one of the greatest action heroes of all time. Just not only for being so special, but also being like the one to establish it, the one that to show that it's okay for like a guy who fights terrorists and all to be so vulnerable, like human. So yeah, here it almost goes. Oh, and yeah, nobody survives that fall. Like, what the hell kind of muscles is there supposed to be in John's fingers? And he's come to the coastline. Like, he is certainly quippy, if that is the correct term. But that's his character. That's just part of John. Like, even, or maybe even in order to deal with the situation as shitty as his, he quips even when nobody is listening. I think this might have gotten sort of a reference when Carl shot the ventilation shaft to I think it was maybe referenced in The Fifth Element later on, another Bruce Willis film, when the character played by Mila Jovovich had to disappear into a ventilation shaft and she got shot at. I have never thought about this before, but since I've recently acquired The Fifth Element, which is another childhood favorite of mine, I just came to think of that. It's also here we return to the place of Takagi's murder. Paul just doing his rounds. I think there's plenty of funny lines in this movie, even though it is so dramatic and violent. I guess that is another very formidable quality of it that it also shares with Die Hard with a Vengeance, which I guess might be considered less dramatic, less personal stakes perhaps, without Holly, but enough of that for now. That piece of German there was quite okay, from what I remember. That was not very smart of Mark Ulike. I don't know if Paul would hear all this commotion going on, seeing how it's so far up above. Probably not. It's just kind of funny juxtaposition. Like you would have probably thought that McClane shot him in the dick, but even when I was little, I paid attention to like the exit wounds, like how they show that he like missed his crotch. Yeah. And now for one of the greatest shots in the entire movie. Like when you know what's coming, it's so exciting to see it set up. Like he slowly steps into the car, closes the door, singing his Christmas song, and there he goes. Just such a damn moment, if you know what I mean. Yeah, maybe I'm not really sure how to feel about his welcome to the party line. Like maybe he should be more concerned about the fellow cop's life. But I guess it's also understandable that he is very frustrated and pissed at that moment. And there we are, introduced to the reporter, who I suppose is the most intentionally despicable non-villain in the piece, which I always feel kind of weird when watching a movie like this, and a character is established and we are really meant to despise them. I don't know, it always seems like a weird bit of audience manipulation. Yeah. And now for the best relationship in the movie between McClane and Gruber. Still keeps on quipping. He's the pain in the ass. Always at the wrong place at the wrong time. I like how immediately condescending Hans gets like toward Americans and all. Oh, and it's kind of weird that of all the like quippy lines he has, his trademark became yippee-ki-yay motherfucker. Especially because like it's not like a pre-mortem one-liner. That is the name of the trope. It's just like something he says as a sort of a comeback. And yet apparently it really resonated so much. Then it got its update to pre-mortem one-liner in the second movie, where I guess the use of it was appropriate, even though I think the movie overall is kind of terrible. Yeah, Die Hard 2. I will definitely have to. I will definitely have to talk about that at some point as well. It is the worst Die Hard movie for me, bar 5, which is not a Die Hard movie. It does not belong in the canon. Like Die Hard 2, as bad as it is, it does belong in the canon, not 5. No chance in hell. But let's get back to this great movie here. That is such a fine element, like with the I know they're not called walkie-talkies, but like these devices that allow them to speak with each other. Like usually, or like in earlier times, there would have been no way for this connection from a distance to work out, like between, like have the hero and villain talk so openly, even while they are chasing each other, and the hero and the buddy from the distance. It works really well and also allows these characters to be, and allows them to be themselves. Ah yes, the character of Robinson. Now there is the asshole police chief person that I suppose fits the stereotype very well. Like it is, in a way, it is kind of humorous. Like the guy has to go against what the heroes say, what the path the hero says. At like every step has to be pain in the ass all the time. It almost seems unmotivated. Like I would want maybe like and a novelization of Die Hard. I know Die Hard was based on a novel, but if they would do like a novelization of Die Hard where they have like a mini chapter for Dwayne Robinson, where it turns out that his whole life is just going down the shitter, that he is going through a divorce, like having a bad hangover or something, and now he has to deal with this like fucking hostage situation at Christmas time. Like it would be nice if he would have some more, if he would be more of a three-dimensional character, the way the movie has established McClane so well, and his wife, and even Hans to some extent. The photo comes back. The way things turn out, you find this like everywhere. Just so well done. What also amazes me now that I'm checking it is that we are already over an hour into the movie. Like the movie is already halfway through. It's just, I wouldn't have figured that not only so much time has already passed, but also that like all the stuff that is still about to happen, that I know is coming, that it all gets taken care of in less than an hour. That is such a stupid line with the stockbroker. I guess I can understand Roger Ebert a little now. Roger Ebert, in case you don't know, is the most renowned and famous of all US movie critics. And if my memory serves me well enough, he gave the first Die Hard movie 2 stars out of 4. And so he did not recommend it. And from what I can remember, he put most of the blame on the police chief, which just seems so silly to me, with all these great qualities that the movie not only possesses, but that also clearly outshine, like this one bad and cliched element. It still pissed him off so much that he couldn't recommend the movie. And then he went on to give Die Hard 2 3.5 stars out of 4. Like that movie, God, I will get to that movie. I have a bone to pick with Die Hard 2. And it will be good to take care of that and cleanse my soul before I shall eventually come to Die Hard 3. That, however, I see further in the future. For now, I just wish to hone my skills with this ASMR thing, little more. Still, even though this is my first time, I hope you are enjoying this. I am certainly having my fair share of fun. Oh, yeah, there he goes. That Uli, who is going for the candy bars. That's another puzzling thing to me. Like, I do not wish to be racist or anything, but Uli very much looks like a person of Asian descent, and Uli is also very clearly a German name. It is the shortened version of Ulrich. So, did they try to sell him as German? Because I cannot remember him saying something in German or anything. Ah, yes, Theo's great moment. As the cops predictably are required to fail in their endeavor. It's also interesting that Gruber specifically tells this man just to wound the police officers. Like, I don't suppose he is very sympathetic towards them, but he's also not just he's not a psychopath. He is the quintessential professional gangster in a way, which again kind of gives him a point of sympathy from me, like makes me appreciate him even more. Das liegen weiter. Yeah, even when it sounds kind of like believable German, it is still funny to listen to just in context. The way how fucking expensive must it have been, like, to get all this artillery. Like, holy shit. It's really quite something. There goes another favorite of mine. Quarterback is toast. Yeah, now he's such a quick thinker too. Like it is. John McClane is. I don't know how much exactly you could say that he is someone that you would want to be, but he is certainly very admirable character. Like he's like street smart, I think one would say. The way he has a certain type of intellect and is capable of creative solutions. Like when he tosses the C4 down the elevator shaft. With the monitor and everything, like who would think of that? This is like some MacGyver level shit. That shot of him looking down the elevator shaft, that also looked kind of fake, and I now know why. It's like there was that bit of outline for one thing, and also looked like one of the lights in the elevator shaft, like it, if you watch that scene again, it shows up in front of his ear. Like it looks weird, but guess it doesn't take you out of the movie too much, and by then you will also be a little too distracted and perhaps awestruck by the fact that John McClane just took out the artillery with a fucking C4 package. Yeah, this is the part where in the German dub news report where they say that his name is Jack Gruber and that he is like ex-IRA guy. There goes the dick cop again. Deputy Chief of Police. Again, little fucking gestures, like the way he called off the police chief and how Paul is reacting to this and so on. Here we go now. Now it's time for Alice's big scene. Yeah, I like how Carl wants to shoot him right away. It's also funny just how Hans is like almost confused by what a fucking idiot Alice is. Hello, die number 5. Yeah, and this is something that two people in that situation, life and death, they would realistically talk about their families and like use that to keep themselves motivated to survive and all. Here, I guess that it has always been my general assumption that the point of Alice in the scene was to get to the reporter the information that John is John, and so the reporter gets to John's family, and through that bit later with John's family on TV, they figure out that Holly is John's wife. But I really would have preferred it if that whole part just would not have been there. Like, this is a part we could have just left out, and to be honest, I think almost every time I watch this movie, I just skip this scene because it is in a way cringeworthy to me. It does make me cringe, like the way Alice just haphazardly walks into his own fucking grave. And it does make me feel bad for him in a way too, even though he is like jerk and stuff. Yeah, never. Rest in peace, Alice. But another element of it that I really had not considered before is that, technically speaking, Alice died doing coke. Like, I don't know if that was supposed to be ironic or something, but it's also so subtle, like I had never considered that. smell what you're shoveling. That's a good line. This is Hans Gruber. He's just it is funny how he's just bullshitting them, because the LAPD, especially personified through the deputy chief of police, is kind of portrayed as a bunch of buffoons. Like, you do not really root for them as much as you would for Hans Gruber if he was the protagonist, which I guess, in a way, if you go by the actual sense of the word, he is the protagonist, since this is essentially his plot to steal $640 million or something. And McClane is the antagonist. Like, he's the monkey in the wrench. He is trying to stop him. That doctor appearance, that was always puzzling to me as well. Like, of course, the Helsinki, Sweden joke. Then, like, the juxtaposition of this and, like, Alice being dragged out. Oh, now the FBI is here. Yeah, Johnson and Johnson. They also seem so, like, cartoony in a way, like, how do you say in English? Not exactly. I think larger than life is the correct term. If only Hans would have had an inside pocket for his pistol. Wouldn't have had to store it there. Poor Hans. you really wouldn't have expected this situation. Like, I couldn't imagine why you suddenly have the hero in a way having the upper hand over the villain. But at the same time, the villain is still smart. Like, he uses this ploy. What's also ironic is that it really seems that Alan Rickman has a more believable Californian accent than he has like a German one. Like, his German accent is not so bad, but I think he does sell the Californian here very well, much better than you would expect from like a German terrorist. But on the other hand, I guess it has also been established that Hans really has a knack for picking things up, details as well, and trying to assimilate them in a way. One thing that I also noticed just now, John's shirt got really dirty, like from when he was crawling into through the ventilation shafts, like it used to be all right at the beginning. It's really cool, and at the same time, I don't even think I ever thought much of that. Like, all of a sudden, okay, his shirt was dark. Like, maybe in my head I thought he got a new shirt or something. The shot of the feet was also very neat when you consider it as foreshadowing for what's about to happen. Hans like almost kind of believed that he would give them a pistol. But yeah, he still falls for it. But at this point though, I think this is also where John gets a little too cocky. Like, I'm not saying he should have just blown him right away, but maybe overpower him or something. Like, he obviously didn't think about the fact that Hans just called his buddies. He's just internally reveling in the situation because he knows Hans has no bullets. Another trademark shot, like I feel John is running with the gun. It is at this point too that we will be confronted with the most gratuitous piece of German the whole movie. Also, how did that terrorist just die from getting shot into his legs? Like, his legs were like perforated and he fell through a glass panel. But it was not like I don't see what could have killed him like instantly. Now Hans gets the idea and he says the magic words. Schieß den Fenster. That makes me chuckle every time because of how it's just wrong. Like, you know, as a German, when you hear like an English speaking person say that, you know why they think that would be correct, because like in English you say shoot the glass, but in German it would actually be schieß auf das Fenster. Like, you have to add another word to refer to the window, to the glass. Even though you wouldn't say it in English, you should still like consider that when you translate. All in all, though, it was quite the move from Hans to shoot the glass. Although in the great scheme of things, I suppose it does not hinder John too much, even though it is very fucking painful, I can imagine. Now for the greatest wow moment in the whole film. At least for me. Carl smashing like the glass. Then Holly's lines, I will not repeat them, it's just so oof. Like that is cringe to me. I rather see John McClane crawling on the ground with blood coming out of his feet. Now this is actually my favorite scene in the movie. Not exactly because of the pulling glass out of the swords, but of course it is like in a way the ultimate confrontation of the action hero with his mortality. Of course, it's also preceded by further establishment of Al's character and what he had to go through, which naturally will also be resolved by the end of the movie, because this right here is efficient filmmaking. There is no other way to describe it, really. I made a mistake. I thought the scene was happening already. Yeah, it's been a little too long since I've seen this movie. Now there is you cannot tell me that at this moment, like what's about to happen, that we are not meant to at least sympathize a little with the villains or be joyous together with them, especially when they play Ode an die Freude. Nice Motorola product placement. That's always the thing. When products are exactly placed in a way that you see the name of it so clearly. Like in a way, this is not part of a scene. It was set up for a camera that in the laws of the movie itself should not be there, so that people can see it. That's always, that does end up being a little immersion breaking, but oh well, there was money to be made. Oh yes, the lights and everything, the vault opens. Great shot of Hans and Merry Christmas. Yeah, like even the FBI guys are like, what you do with this? Why would you want to see them catch these criminals? And these criminals are obviously much smarter, much more organized. Like, I think ultimately, at least from my point of view, I have more sympathy towards the smarter person. Even like in this scenario where they kill innocents and all. Maybe just because it's a movie. Like, I hope it's because it's a movie, of course. I wouldn't want any innocent people to die, but well, anyone to die for the matter, but I digress. Yeah, 20% of 640 million. That does not sound very bad. Like, I see why Hans would be happy with that. Yeah, now is the best scene. Like, John's speech to Paul. And he is meant to say to his wife in case he does not make it out. Again, it must have been so novel of a concept to audiences at that time. Like, even, I'm pretty sure no one below age 12 or whatever thought that John McClane was going to die there. But it's still so it's still so gripping and moving because of the acting. For one thing, Bruce's acting is just great here. And on the other hand, because the way this movie has played out, what it has put this character through, you believe that he's scared for his life, that he thinks he's going to die, and that he is remorseful of how he treated his wife. It can really hit you when you think about it. Paul's reaction so great too, just giving him confidence. Yeah, no. How things get further going here with the reporter, which I'm glad, at least unlike cringy Alice part, this movie doesn't linger on too much. And back to Bruce. Another shocking reveal. Although if you paid attention as an audience member, I cannot really see how that would be much of a shock that they want to blow up the roof like... No, they even said that. Yeah, they said that. So, maybe they shouldn't have said that. Maybe this would have had even more of an effect. Like this was just a reveal to us. No, not to us, to John McClane. We as an audience were already one step ahead of him. Well, now of course here we also have the quote-unquote final battle between Carl and John looming. Now there's this part. Dun dun dun. I guess you could almost describe this as like the sort of low point. McClane getting beaten up, Hans becoming aware of Holly's identity. Like, it doesn't last long, of course. There was also a fucking cold-blooded fucking line from John when it comes with the bra squealing. Like, you almost don't know fear, but it like even before with the way he was so nonchalant when it came to killing, that John McClane himself might be a little bit of a psychopath. Which I suppose is something that they severely toned down for the other movies. Although I would have to see the second one again to confirm that. The ones that stuck into my memories the most, because I've seen them the most often, were 3 and 4. 4, in my opinion, is a good movie. It's a good Die Hard movie, and it's certainly better than 2. Like I would be willing to fight. I would be willing to fight for Live Free or Die Hard, aka Die Hard 4.0, against Die Hard 2. Because fuck that movie. I'm sorry. Sorry to all Die Hard 2 fans, but I really can't stand it. Man, I really forgot how long this John Carl fight was going. Gonna eat you. Who says stuff like that? Of course, the trick with the chain. Boing. That's it for Carl. Or so it seems. Dun dun dun. The FBI match was in the helicopters, like, I think they went a little too far with that, with all of this. But I guess they add another element of danger to McClane, as we will see very soon. So long, Uli. One thing I remember from the commentary that came with the movie was how I think the director or somebody really was afraid that somebody would fall off that roof because they had no security railings, which really is crazy to think about. I don't think I've ever been at the top of such a tall building, but yeah, I think it would scare me too, no doubt. That part I totally forgotten, like how they all, like, in order to run to their safety, the hostages all had to run past fucking Carl hanging there. Now for another signature scene in the film. John McClane, the fire hose strapped around him. The jump. Kaboom. That's a little unlikely too, I suppose. That he would not just fall to his doom. But again, it's all context and drama of the scene. Makes it work so well. Then of course the firehose thing dragging him down. I don't know why, but these adventure things really give me a little bit of an Indiana Jones vibe. Not sure where that comes from. Oh wow, the terrorists even had a French guy too. I didn't notice that before. Man, Nakatomi Tower is just fucked. The FBI guy's line, that was a little funny too. Like, for all the cliches he displayed and all that, at least he got that one line, that deputy chief of police. He can be proud of that. Here is Argyle's moment to be the hero. I thought they only had one truck. Like, how the hell? I thought they only had one truck. How did they get that ambulance car in there? Maybe I didn't pay enough attention to that part. And of course only 2 shots left. But that John McClane, he never runs out of ideas. Not really sure how you call this ability, like this quick thinking, but he's got it down. That didn't really look like it hit. Like when Argyle beat up Theo. Sorry Theo. Oh well. It's also funny when you consider, like, not all terrorists die. Like, theoretically, Theo and the guy that John just knocked out, they both should still live. Now for the final showdown. Am I the only one who is reminded of Huey Lewis by that other guy who's with Hans there, the other remaining terrorist? Like, I have not seen many images of Huey Lewis, but I think he does kind of look like him. Like Hans's body, he had gotten the right idea, just blow the fucker away. But Hans, of course, he has to do the villain's mistake. Like, the fallacy of the talking killer. That's also interesting. Usually it's the good guy using the villain's line against him in the end. Oh, this is an inversion, I guess. An attempted inversion. Ha ha ha, everybody laughing. So funny. Happy trails, Hans. Was one last bit of drama. Well, not really the last, but like the sense of the climax. Hans holding on. Yeah, and I think a lot of you probably already know this, but when they filmed the scene of Hans going down, they had like a 1, 2, 3 thing, but they let him down at like a 1 or 2, so that that oh shit look on Hans's face, that was very real. Also makes this even greater. The classic Disney death was such a great villain. Rest in peace, Alan Rickman. Yep, and that is apparently the movie. I mean, of course, it's not over yet, but it could have just ended right here too. Like, all that comes now, like the aftermath of the reporter and the deputy. Like, I guess it's good for Al to get his resolution, like being able to overcome his inability to shoot people. But the climax was really climax enough. There was nothing else needed. Also like how he recognizes him right away. It's almost cute, I would call it. But I'd say the movie had definitely earned it at that point. Come to think of it, right off my top, I can't think of better like fire-forged relationship in a movie. Like maybe the one in Free between John McClane and Zeus is also pretty good, but John and Al had so much chemistry and they just had all they had was their radios. Yeah, all it's a great movie. Not one I think of too often as a great movie, but I can't call it, just from the way I feel, I can't call it one of my favorite movies of all time, but it is still obviously great. And there, of course, Carl making his comeback. How the fuck does that work? I don't know. And we don't need to know. Like, he had his purpose. Yay. You did it, Al. You blew that German away. Come to think of it, I don't think John has told any of the policemen about the unconscious terrorist in that one floor there. Like maybe he tied him to something or whatever. It's just funny to think about. The reporter gets his due. Isn't that hilarious? No. At least not in my opinion. Like, I wouldn't want you to feel bad or something if you found that amusing. I can definitely understand where you're coming from, but it's just not for me. Of course, the kiss in the end. Let it snow playing. Bam. That's your movie. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, that was Die Hard. And yeah, it is a great movie. It is a great Christmas movie. If you will be watching it with your loved ones, I hope you will have a good time. If you have not seen it yet, I think you should, although if you haven't seen it, why are you listening to this commentary? But yeah, it was a lot of fun for me, and I hope you enjoyed the listening experience. There shall be more to come from me soon, but until then, have a good night and have a good day too.